All right, now we get to talk about the weather here today. I am back, and we're going to start with talking about what we're going to see over the next 7 days and a little bit of what we call a TLDR. Too long, don't care that much. But today we're seeing seasonal sunny conditions, similar to what we saw yesterday. In fact, very similar to yesterday, so we're going to see a continuation of those really nice conditions overall. Showers are going to start moving in as we head into our Wednesday, going into our Thursday, as the system off in Canada brings through a cold front. And that's going to bring us a little cooler Friday, but overall, we're going to become more mild and pretty dry as we get into the weekend, though. Might see a couple of isolated showers move through with a couple disturbances. So we're looking at the satellite from yesterday, and you will notice we had a little bit of upper level clouds make their way through, but outside of that, we had really nice conditions, specifically here in the Northland, even though there was a system brewing to our south. And along with that sunshine, temperatures mostly in the 30s, couple of low 40s as you go further south in some areas right by Lake Superior. So it really was pretty nice outside sunshine. We had also those calm winds on top of it, and overall temperatures quite seasonal for November. I know November is pretty chilly, but I mean, this is what we expect. And honestly, put on a jacket with the sunshine, really pretty nice outside because I mean, we're still above freezing, so not dangerously cold, just something to be ready for and to enjoy. Today's going to be very similar. Notice that highs not going to look too much different. 30s, getting into the low 40s as you go further south. So overall, we're going to see a continuation temperature-wise going into our Tuesday and into our Wednesday as well. We're mostly staying in the 30s, low 40s once again. But Wednesday is going to look a little bit different as we're going to get into. So let's now look at the winds because, like yesterday, maybe a little bit more of a breeze, especially by Lake Superior, but it's still going to be very much light. So not really too much to worry about with the winds. They will start to pick up a little bit heading into our Wednesday out of the south. We'll see those winds getting 15, 20 mile per hour gusts at times. So not blustery by any means, but notably a little breezier. And guess what? When it comes to the rain, that's definitely going to be different because, as I mentioned, we have this high pressure system right over the Northland, keeping us pretty high and dry starting Sunday and actually this weekend overall heading into today. But we're going to look further out towards the west. Notice you have the system off in Canada. It is going to be brewing and developing, moving eastwards, and overall we have a couple disturbances down here. All this is going to become a bit more organized as it moves east in Canada, and that's going to bring a cold front here through the Northland. So we're going to pull this out forward a bit into Wednesday morning because the cloud cover is going to increase. And guess what? The showers are going to start making their way on through. And that can include a little bit of snow, though snow accumulation is likely to stay well over under an inch, even if it does start to stick to the ground. And as we start to head through our Wednesday, as you notice, mostly in northern Minnesota, again, snow, especially in the Arrowhead, possible mixing in there. But we'll start to see the shower coverage and pick up the further south you are as we head later in the day on Wednesday. And once we start to head overnight going into Thursday, that cold front really making its way on through is going to allow for the shower coverage to pick on up and push its way across much of the Northland. And as you do notice, it is mostly in northern Minnesota there. That's why when it comes to the probability, especially in the Arrowhead, I mean, we're talking here on this one, and this is from a database that uses a bunch of models, and it shows up to close to an 80% chance, at least over 70% chance in the Arrowhead. Once we start to move forward later on in the Thursday, we start to see that shift into the UP. So much of the Northland, especially in the Arrowhead and just the eastern half of the Northland in general, is going to see it. The dry spots probably for your areas further southwest into areas around like Aiken and Moose Lake. And when it comes to rain totals, unfortunately not going to be too great. We do want those better rain totals overall because it has been very dry here in the Northland, pretty drought heavy, but we can see this recent model run shows a little bit more confidence in high rain totals in northern Minnesota. We're clocking over a quarter of an inch possibly, and much of the Northland can see probably a tenth or even 2/10 of an inch of rain, so not much, but because it's going to be a bit more widespread, that means overall across the Northland, going to see a bit more rain, so anything to help with the drought. And we're going to see a little bit cooler on Friday because of that cold front, but look at the temperatures are going to bounce back up into the weekend. Relatively going to be quite mild. We're going to be mostly in the 40s across the Northland. In fact, we get a closer look here Friday, similar to today and yesterday, 30s, low 40s, but we're going to start warming up Saturday, especially into Sunday. We're going to see a lot more of those 40s make their way on in. And we're going to be mostly dry because the high pressure system is going to move in behind that cold front. Not a very strong one, but enough to keep us dry, especially on Friday and heading through the weekend. However, a front is likely to also make its way through onto Saturday, Sunday as well. And it might allow for a couple spin-up systems to develop. And that means we can see a bit of snow or rain, maybe both, as we get into Saturday and into late Sunday as well. Now, this is just one model run, and it's not going to look like this. Even if we do see showers, it's going to not look like a blob like that, but more of isolated scattered showers. So it's really not going to bring too much of any rain, but there is that chance this weekend. But overall, we're going to be mostly staying dry, and generally over the next 7 days, going to be staying dry. The only chance for more substantial rain is going to be coming Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe a little bit of snow, but none of it's really going to accumulate all that much. And we're going to be seasonal initially, though. We'll start to see more mild conditions make their way in, especially as we start to head to the weekend.